Hi everybody, it's Lou Sims from Lou Sims Paper Crafter, and today I'm on the Tonic blog sharing a project using a mixture of the stamps and the dies. So we're going to have a go at making a tag card using some of the stamped elements and some of the die cut elements. So what dies am I using? I'm going to be using a mixture of the Mythical Glade layering dies, and I'm going to use the 3 layers here, and I'm also going to use the sentiment which says Winter Wishes and Snowflake Kisses, so that's from that set. And I'm also going to be using Wondrous Woods with the silhouette tag and wallet dies, and for that I'm going to be using the actual wallet and the decorative wood panel here, and they're going to make the base of my card. So we'll put that away for the moment. I'm also going to be using some of the stamp sets from the garden party release. So this one was Celebrate Success, and this one was Celebrate Sentiments. So I'm going to use the reindeer, and I'm going to use the Happy Birthday from the Herd stamp, but we will be masking that off to make it work with the Christmas. So what we'll do is I'll tidy all these bits away, and we'll get all the bits we need together, and we'll make a start. Right, I've already die cut a lot of my elements out, so I've cut out my base card, which I will join together to make the tag. I've cut out a layer. I've then cut out the wallet part, my sentiment, another piece of the decorative birch or decorative trees, and also a piece of vellum, and that's just going to be used as a way of softening the actual detail. So they're my die cuts, and I have jumped ahead and I've stamped out my reindeer, and I've stamped out my sentiment from the herd, but I will show you how I did that so you get an idea of how we can mask off. So let's make a start. I'm going to start by doing my background. And for my background, I'm going to use 2 of the new ink colours that came out with the latest colour trend, Blue Blossom. And I've got Midnight Surf and Siren Blue. And I'm also adding in Amber Ochre, or Ochre, depending how you pronounce it. And that came out when the Woodland Walk colour collection came out. So this is going to be used to create our actual background. So that's my background, and I'm not being overly careful with it. I just want a central colour and then the blues around the outside. And I'm going to repeat that process on the die cut for the Winter Wishes and Snowflake Kisses, and I'm still going to stick to the same colours as I did before. So as you can see, that's my background, and they work together, and the idea is that you'll see the lighter colour come through as we make up our card. So I'm just going to clear up my mess, and I'll be back shortly, and we'll talk about how we add all the other bits and pieces together. Okay, now let's go on to the stamping element and how we're going to colour our reindeer, and then we can bring everything back together to create the final card. Now I'm using my Nuvo markers, and let's see if I can pick them all up. I'm going to be using a mixture of different colours, mainly all from the same colour family. So I've got 461, 463, 465 as the browns. To add a little bit of shading here and there, I've got 491, which is a darker, it's a cool grey. And then to add a little bit of colour contrast, I've got 479, which is a slightly more yellowy, more honeyed sort of brown colour from the 3 I'm using for the main part of the reindeer. What I'll do is I'm going to colour, but I will fast forward as I colour, but I'll put a note saying which colours I'm using or the colour name, number, so you get an idea of how I'm actually colouring it all up. So that's my little reindeer coloured up. I'm now going to cut him out, and then we need to stamp a bow. So I've already done, because I want 3 in my card design, I've already done 2, and I've coloured them exactly the same way. The only difference is the ink's had a little bit of time to dry. That's why this one looks possibly a little bit darker in places or patchy. So I'm going to cut this one out, and then we'll stamp the bow tie, and we'll add it together. Okay, that's our 3 reindeers done, and they've all been decorated up. You could add some more detail around the eyes if you wanted to. There's some on the stamp sets, there's some wonderful little clothes. You could have put some clothes and coloured them Christmas colours, but I wanted to leave them as is. So I'm going to put all this away, I'm going to put my pens away, and then I'm going to bring back all the elements we need to actually create the tag card base and how we're going to incorporate our wonderful little reindeers in. Right, a quick recap. So we've done the base, and we've used our hybrid inks for this, and we did the matching sentiment using the hybrid inks as well. What I want to do now on the sentiment, so it's got time to dry, is add my vellum layer, because vellum is prone to buckle with glue, so I just wanted to add that on. Now I'm not worried at this time about sticking all the sentiment down, and that's because I want to place one of the reindeer amongst some of the words, and until I've got them or him or her in place, then I can stick the other bits down. So I've just put a little bit of vellum behind, so if I show you that background now, it just mutes it. So rather than being quite so intense, the vellum just actually mutes it, and I can still see that there's a lighter colour there, but it just creates the illusion something of it being softer in a quick and easy way. So we're going to be using the wallet part. Let's get rid of that little bit there. And this concertina's up to, so you could put your tags in it, and that's the idea behind it. We're going to be doing it in a slightly different way, because I would like my tag to sit behind this frame. So rather than actually folding all of these so they fold in on each other, we're going to be using some of the outside bits to sit onside the frame, so I get a 3D effect, but not quite as deep as if I was making it actually into the wallet itself. Now on the die cut, sorry, I've just got a little bit of tape there, let's move that. On the die cut, it comes with all the different crease lines that you need. It comes away with the cutaway bits in the corners, which makes it really easy to fold. So I'm just going to sit there and fold all of this. Now, if we were making the wallet to hold the tags from the different tag collections, we would actually create another mountain fold with the last crease we've got there. So if I just quickly do one. So we would create another mountain fold. So when we were putting everything together, it would sit in a concertinaed fashion like that. For my tag card, I don't actually want to do that. I want to have these bits sitting outside. And then what's going to happen is, so it's still raised, as you can see, but it's not as raised. And then what I want to do is I want to put the tag part that I've done around the outside, securing those bits to the outside of the tag. So I've got a little bit of movement and a little bit more of a 3D element, but not quite as deep. So I'm just going to stick all this together and I'll be back shortly. Right, so that's stuck down. So now if I bring in my background, this is going to go on top, as you can see around there. I've then got this layer sitting on top. So I've created the illusion that I've got my matte and layers, but I've got at least got one layer slightly raised, if you can see from there. And you can still see a little bit of the tree detail behind. Now, I don't want the tree detail to be quite so pronounced, so I'm going to actually colour. Now, if you know me or follow me or seen some of my other things that I do with Tonic, I do like to colour a lot of my die cuts. I like to cut white and colour, whether that's using my markers, aquaflows, paints. It's not because I don't like coloured card, it's because sometimes I think of the project, not necessarily the colour. The colour for me comes afterwards, hence why I like to colour. So we're just going to quickly colour these, and I'm just going to use the same markers as I did before. Right, that is my tree element done. And as I said, I've just stuck to the same markers as I did before to create my background. And I want to layer it so it sits on top of there. So when I put my winter wishes, I can see both of the trees actually through. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the tree elements down into two different parts. And the reason, my thinking behind that was I quite like the idea that the white shows through. So where I've got this bit here, and it sits, as you can see, like that, to give the illusion as if it's got the light coming through on it. So we've got that part there that gives the illusion that one side of the tree has got the lights from the background. So you're going to stick those in place. So that's that stuck in place. And now when I put this layer on top here, it gives the illusion that the light from behind has highlighted those different areas on the trees. It's just a quick way of adding depth and shade and dark, or should I say shade and light, in a really, really quick way. I could have coloured these yellows to match in, but I suppose being lazy. Now this layer is going to sit on top of there, so we're going to glue that next in place. Right, I'm just going to put that to one side to dry, and we'll bring the base layer in. And using my ruler, let's find an embossing tool. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to decide where should we do it? I think I'll join it from there. I'd like to create a fold line, and that's going to be where my card will actually fold to open. I'm just going to do it both ways. Now, you don't have to do as much of that if you don't want to. One of the main reasons I've done that means I've got a clear rectangular space that when I come to, I can mat and layer inside. So just to make it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to put those two on top of each other. So once that dries, I've got a crease there, so my card, as you can see, will then be able to stand up. Now, with the actual reindeers, I'm going to bring them back in. What I'd like to do is I wanted to have one, so they were standing there, but it looked a little bit weird. So I decided what I'd like to do is get them to sit there. I know we're not going to see all of them sitting there, but it's just the illusion. So all I've done is got my embossing tool and just drawn a rough line. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just to sit there across there, and then I can bring the legs forward. Because this bit is slightly higher than the background. So when I position my reindeer in place like that, it sits there perfectly. So I just wanted to make it look like it was sitting on top of the actual frame. So that's what I'm going to do. So we'll just glue that in place. Right. Now, the main sentiment is going to sit on top. And because I've got the dark and light layers, both now show through. So it looks like I've actually got trees in the background. And there's my reindeer sitting up the top there saying hello to us. So I'm going to stick that part on the top. But what I also want to do is I want to have one of the reindeers peeking out. So as if they were there and they're just peeking out from inside. So you can see a little bit of their body on the inside, and there they are just peeking out to say hello. So I'm just going to roughly work out where I'd like them to go. So all the scuffling noises you can hear is my dog mooching around. I'm not sure what he's looking into, but all right, so I'm just going to roughly put that in place there and then see if that's where I'd like it to be. So I'm going to move the leg in a bit and the eye. That's it. So that's where I'd like my reindeer to go. And then I'm just going to stick on the outside. So I'm just going to put my glue around the outside. So that's two of the reindeers. So I've got one peeking out from like the woodland, one at the top, and then my final reindeer. Let's make a bow tie stand up a little bit. Is going to sit at the front. Now, when I said I hadn't worked out what about sticking these down, is I then can actually place my reindeer and I can move some of the, let's get it, sorry. I can then move some of the letters around so I can still see my sentiment, and I can then put them on top of the reindeer and stick them in place so they hold down. So that's why I haven't stuck all the letters as such down. So my reindeer is going to go there. So I only need to put glue halfway down because the other half won't be seen as such yet. And finally, the sentiment, where I showed earlier how I masked it off. So I've got winter wishes and snowflake kisses from the herd. So from the herd of reindeer. I'm going to stick that in place. And that's going to go down there. And then the very last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some snowflakes, but I'm using a paint pen. You could easily use Nuvo drops or even glitter. The choice is yours, what you would actually like to do. I wanted to have my snowflakes quite flat, which obviously you don't get with the drops. And that's it. That's my finished card. So it's not the largest of cards, but I've still got a space to write in between. It's quite got a bit of dimension, but not too much. And then obviously it stands up. Now you could make it a tag by moving the reindeer over and putting a circle, punch a circle in the top and tie a bit of ribbon, and then it could be a tag and you can write on the back. But I just thought it would make a nice, cute little Christmas card to send to everyone, to whoever, because it would fit inside an A6 envelope. So it's not going to take up too much space. I hope you enjoyed that, and I can't wait to see how you match your tonic stamps with your dies to see what you actually create. Until next time, thank you very, very much for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye.